All right, here we go. So please listen up. Everyone should be taking out their notebooks. There is no primaries today. I thought you could use a break. And if you're all going to see this movie in order to drop 2 primaries, I thought it'd make it easier on you and have more of an impact. So, with that being said, if you are going to see They Shall Not Grow Old, you just need the movie ticket as well as you just need the movie ticket. You can bring it to me till March 8th. Is everyone clear on that? So March 8th is the deadline. So you have another weekend. You have a week from Friday to see it. So you have another weekend to do it if you are interested. Even though Rod did not give you a rousing review of it, Kellen hated it as well. It was pretty good. Anyway, I also have extra credit on my board. That needs to be brought in by Thursday. College ruled white line paper, colored pencils, crayons, expo markers, highlighters, each worth 2 points apiece. The most you can get is 10. Everyone good? On the top of your notebook, you need to write period 6 because we are in our final periodization. How exciting. You need to know it goes from 1900 to present day. So God forbid, Trump declares war on May 15th, the day before our AP exam. Can you use that as evidence on May 16th? Yes. Okay? If a major world event happens the day of our exam as you're walking in, because you won't know about it in there, can you write about it? Yes. So it goes from 1900 to present. So please make sure you have that down. Your title is going to be World War I. World War I causes, and you need to know that World War I is from 1914 to 1918. Okay, that is a huge deal for World War I. So, the biggest cause of World War I, okay, is going to be the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand of Austria-Hungary. It is important for you to understand that Austria-Hungary is one country. It's one country. Now, after World War I, they break them apart. Just before World War II, what do? Reunite. They come back together because they really love each other. And then after World War II, what did the United States make them do? Separate. So now we have 2 countries called Austria-Hungary, but back in this day, they are. Archduke Franz Ferdinand is going to be assassinated by a guy named Gavrilo Princip. His name's up here at the top. Gavrilo Princip is a Serbian, you need to know that, of the Black Hand movement, who wants nationalism for Serbia. What does that mean, he wants nationalism for Serbia? What does that mean, Nathan?
He wants Serbia.
That's Nathan. You're Nathan.
You want their nation to be independent.
Yeah.
Austria-Hungary.
There you go. He killed the ruler of Austria-Hungary because Austria-Hungary is in charge of Serbia. He wants Serbia to be liberated. That makes sense, correct? So, Archduke Franz Ferdinand is assassinated by Gavrilo Princip. Gavrilo Princip is of the Black Hand movement. He's a Serbian. He shoots him because he wants Serbia to be liberated under nationalistic tendencies. Yes? Fun fact, Gavrilo Princip was supposed to shoot him in the morning, but he got nervous. And he fumbled around, and he's like, oh man, I can't do it. So he goes to a bar and gets drunk, as you do. And he stumbles out of the bar in like mid-afternoon. He's just hammered, blitzed out of his mind. Stumbles outside, and guess who happens to be walking out of the hospital directly across from the bar? So he's like, ha! Meh, 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 and goes across and shoots him. He shoots like Sophia, his wife, in like the shoulder or some shit. Your boy, Franz Ferdinand, is going to be shot right in the chest. He's going to die at the scene. His wife is going to be fine. However, does anyone really care about Austria-Hungary? Are they a world power? Do we care about them? No. No one. I would never know this dude ever existed unless he got shot. That's the only reason why we know about him and anyone cares about him in history because of this moment. Now, you don't need to write this down, but I want you to see the impact of it. Just listen. Because of a random dude named Gavrilo Princip, who shoots a guy who's in power but of real grand significance in the world, 20 million people are going to be injured, 15 million people are going to die. Okay? This is going to be the lighting point of a pulling of the trigger of World War I, and it's going to lead to 15 million deaths. In one war, 4 years. Keep in mind, 5 million of those are going to be casualties, which are normal people like you and I, men, women, and children of non-military age. All of these people are going to die. This war has more death in it than all of the previous wars total. The worst day in the American Civil War, which was the bloodiest war of that time so far in the world, on Gettysburg, which is the deadliest days, had 24,000 people die. It's a crazy number, can we agree? One day, the Battle of Verdun, which is a 3-day battle, okay, so over 3 days, same amount as Gettysburg, they lost 530,000 people. 500,000 people are going to die in 3 days. So, the amount of death, destruction that's going to come out of it. Now, other causes of war. You need to know nationalism. Okay? A lot of countries want their independence. A lot of countries want to prove that they're better than other countries. You need to know rivalries. Okay? You need to know that England and Germany are directly competing. England is the first country to industrialize, so they were the most powerful. However, they focus a lot of their time on imperializing, okay, taking over and creating colonies. They're not really focusing on new technology, correct? Germany, who newly industrializes recently, does not have that many colonies, so what are they focusing on? New technology. So they're going to evolve very, very quickly and become a preeminent power very, very quickly. So England's in decline, Germany's on the rise. So there obviously is bad blood between the two of them. You also need to know alliances. Okay? And your alliances break down like this on my board over here. You have the Triple Entente. England, this is pre-war. I would write pre-war next to it. Okay, so way over here, sorry. So the Triple Entente, make sure you know it is pre-war. It's England gets to choose if they fight or not, and it's England, France, and Russia. Okay, so your Triple Entente, England gets to choose whether they're fighting or not, and it's England, France, and Russia. Okay. Then you have the Triple Alliance / Allies. This is during war. So when war breaks out, this is what we call it. You have England, France, and Russia. Okay, so Russia's going to drop out 3 years in. Okay, you do need to know that. Why is Russia dropping out 3 years in, William?
The Russian Revolution.
Russian Revolution. So they're going to drop out in 1918. The revolution breaks out in 1917. Okay, so you have England, France, Russia, and you also have Italy. They join 3 years in. Okay? Now, you also need to know that when Russia drops out in 1917, the United States joins in 1917. The Germans send a telegram to the Mexican government saying, hey, Mexico, if you attack the United States on the southern border, which is so funny that it's happening, I'm talking about this, anyway. You attack the United States on the southern border, we will give you California, Arizona, New Mexico, and Texas. So we intercepted their mail because we read the world's mail. We absolutely are spying on every country in the world. We get it and we declare war because we don't want Mexico to attack us from the south and have to fight another war. So we declare war. Okay, so 1917. Your other team and your final team are the Central Powers. That is Germany, Austria, Hungary, and Italy. However, Italy is going to drop alliance 3 years in. So, what country looks like a bunch of flakes? Italy. Guess who gets absolutely nothing at the end of the war?
Italy.
What country is going to be super pissed they got nothing at the end of the war even though they're on the winning team? Italy. And a man named Mussolini is going to really start being cranky about it. And he's going to create a thing called fascism based on it. So it's a big deal. So the Central Powers are Germany, Austria, Hungary, Italy, and the Ottoman Empire. Don't forget the Ottoman Empire. But which has absolutely no effect on anything else. Ottoman Empire, yeah. I mean, they're literally showing up to battle on camels with swords. No, like, I'm totally serious. They're literally on camels with swords. Okay? World War I is a hand-to-hand combat. World War I is hand-to-hand combat. Keep in mind, we don't have major people movers. We don't have huge pieces of technology. So all of our mode of transportation are animals and humans. Horses are fighting in World War I. Camels are fighting in World War I. Elephants are also fighting in World War I, which is pretty cool. They brought them from India, and they're fighting on the Eastern Front, which is pretty cool. Okay, so those are your teams. Okay, now rivalry we've already talked about is going back and forth between them. Imperial, we have naval. Okay, so another thing that you need to put in for your causes is public pressure. This is the first war that is really based on public pressure. Keep in mind that because of the telegram and that invention, the United States hears about Austria-Hungary's, the assassination of Franz Ferdinand within 4 hours of its happening. With information spreading around the world that fast, so people will respond calmly or aggressively when we get bad information real quick. Aggressively. So we have this whole new thing called fast-moving news. Newspapers are now getting worldwide collection every single day. So all of a sudden, people are now desiring war. Think back to September 11th, okay? I will tell you right now, on September 12th, Samantha Bennett, well, I was Samantha Reeves at that point, but I wanted to go to war on September 12th, okay? The whole nation wanted to go to war on September 12th. Can we agree? Okay, everyone wanted it. When we look back 15, 19 years later, was that the best decision we could have made?
No.
I mean, you can see both sides of it. Whereas people are still dying, Americans are still dying over there fighting this war. It's dragged on for much longer than anyone had expected. The hindsight is not so ideal. However, does every American want to go to war on September 12th? You bet your bottom dollar. Absolutely. That is what happens when we are responsive to information quickly. Does that make sense? Okay? This is the first time we have those responses. Is it going to happen again and again and again and again and again? Yeah, we got bombed on Pearl Harbor on December 7th. We declared war on December 7th. We declare war on December 8th. So quick responses and all that stuff. But this is the first time we have it, so it's a big deal. Okay, we already have our alliances. Okay, here we go. So you're going to write, your heading is going to be World War I. So we're going to officially declare war. So what you need to know, and I would just write a little, I'm like running out of like room, light. What I would write down is that Austria-Hungary declares war on Serbia. Why would Austria-Hungary declare war on Serbia? Hey.
The Serbian killed their leader.
Yeah, Serbian killed their leaders, and it makes logical sense. So, because Austria-Hungary declared war, who has to declare war because Austria-Hungary declared war? Germany and who else? Germany and who else?
Germany.
And look at who's the Central Powers. If Austria-Hungary declares war, who else has to declare war?
Ottomans.
The Ottomans and the Italians and the Germans all declare war. So, as soon as the Germans declare war, all of a sudden, the Russians declare war. Because the Russians really want to go to war. Which is ironic and funny because they've never won a war I taught you about. So, now, what you do need to know, and I'm going to simplify it. I have to hang this, but I haven't done it yet. So, you need to know that Austria-Hungary declares war on Serbia. Okay? So, Germany, Italy declare war on Serbia. Germany also declares it on Russia. Because Russia has a ton of territory and a bunch of natural resources that are completely untapped because they can't organize their shit. So Germany's like, well, screw it. So as soon as Russia gets declared war on, who declares war coming to Russia's aid? France. So France is now in the war, and they declare war on both Germany and Italy. Once France is in the war, England gets involved. Okay, so that's your declaration of war. Okay, so one guy that no one really gives a shit about is killed by a guy from a country that has no consequence, and what happens? A complete collapse of European powers into this thing. So our alliance is a huge part of this. Yes, if it wasn't for alliances, would anyone have gone to war because one rando dude got shot by another rando dude? No, but it's because of alliances. So, another thing you do need to know is the term arms race. You do need to know arms race. What is an arms race? What is an arms race? Oh God, people. We're currently in the middle of one with China and Russia at the moment. Babe?
So you can develop better military
There you go.
technology faster.
So, it is the advancement of a country's military technology and strength. So, think about it. If all you're doing is making new bombs, coming up with new technology, okay, so say for instance I had a rocket launcher, which I think would be so cool to shoot one of those things off, even though I've never shot a gun in my life. It was a rocket launcher, hell yeah. If I had a rocket launcher hanging on that wall, at one point, what am I going to do with that rocket launcher? I'm going to shoot it because I have it. And I want to see, like, what happens. Like, how big is the explosion? Like, how devastating would it be? Like, I'm not trying to kill anyone, William. I just want to know. If I shoot a tree, like, what's going to happen to that tree? Like, I just want to see. So imagine all of these countries that have been stockpiling weapons, creating all of this new technology, has all of these weapons. At some point, what are they going to want to do? Yeah, they're going to want to use it. And that's exactly what some rando dude named Franz Ferdinand getting shot by a rando dude named Gavrilo Princip gives everyone the opportunity to do. Okay? So, you need to know the term arms race. There's a couple other terms you have to be able to use to describe World War I. I will tell you right now, I really do believe World War I is going to be one of your essays. It has never been a DBQ. Everyone's thinking it's about time for a World War I DBQ. Now, do I have any idea? No. However, if I had to put money down, I'm thinking we're ripe for a World War I essay of some sort. Whether it's SAQ or LEQ, I think we're ripe for it. Okay. You need to know the term German Schifflin Plan. Okay, so the Schifflin Plan. Now look at, okay, here's the map. The green are your central powers. Why are they called central powers? They're in the center of Europe. Makes sense. Okay, and then your allied are in yellow. So, Germany declares war. They have France on one side, Russia on the other. Is this ideal or not ideal?
Not ideal.
Not ideal. So, as soon as England, France, and Russia all declare war, Germany's like, well, shit. We're in the middle. This is not ideal to have a two-front war. So, the Schifflin Plan is the bet that France will mobilize faster than Russia. So it's the bet that France is going to mobilize for war faster than Russia. Why do they bet France is going to move faster? It's the answer that constantly comes up. Why, William?
Because Russia struggled to industrialize
Yeah.
and was behind.
And France is one of the most powerful countries in the world. They're super industrialized. They got plenty of trains. So they were like, okay. So what the Germans do, the Germans send their entire military to the French border. Write that down. They were betting that the Germans, that the Russians would be slow, that the French would mobilize faster, so they send their whole army to France. So when they beat France, they can just turn around. By the time they beat France, Germany would have, Russia would have barely walked up. And then they can focus on Russia. Sounds like a logical plan. Can we agree? Now think about it. France has no one to their south. So what is France's military going to go? Full force at Germany. Okay? So you're going to write. So everyone's got Schifflin Plan. You need to know that they were betting that France would mobilize faster than the Russians. So they send their full military to the French border. You're going to write failure of the Schifflin Plan. Okay, that's your next thing. Failure of the Schifflin Plan was that two full-strength armies collide. That's what I was trying to get at. That's why I was saying.
Weren't like France and Russia like allies?
They are.
So why are they like?
They're not going at each other. Germany's in the middle, so the Russians have to come here and the French have to go there.
But why are they like betting like who would be stronger in
No,
your
the Germans are.
The Germans are, not the Frenchies.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay, so you have two full-strength military smashing into each other. Now let me tell you about the region that they're crashing into. This is the region right here. It happens to be one of the flattest places on the earth. No trees. It's known as the breadbasket of Europe. It's farmland. No trees, very little divisions. So you have two full armies smashing into each other. There is nothing to protect you, so what are you going to do as an 18-year-old young man who has never been outside your country before, and you have the Germans coming at you or the French coming at you? What are you going to do, William?
Trenches.
You're going to build a hole. The failure of the Schifflin plan causes trench warfare. Two full armies are coming at each other with no natural challenges like mountains or something that will cause, some planning and stuff like that. They just smash into each other. Because they smash into each other, there's no way to protect yourself. Are you just going to go walking into the middle of a field with the German armies? No, you're going to freaking dig a hole and try to figure out a plan of attack. That's trench warfare. So, what is trench warfare? Okay, so here's our trenches. Okay, this is the British, French side. This is your German, Austrian-Hungary. Now, if you're a British dude, you're going to stand in the trenches with your gun pointed to Germany. There's only about 30 to 90 feet between trenches. So you can see people smoking cigarettes, you can see people eating, you can see people moving throughout their day on the other side. It's not like our wars we have today, that a plane 10 miles up can drop a bomb and kill all these people with no one knowing that it's coming, correct? So you're sitting there. Now, what's going to happen is because there's only 30 or 90 feet in between them, it becomes known as no man's land. Because if you stand too high in your trench, what are they going to do? They're going to shoot you. So every once in a while, like every day, every other day, what they would do is stage attacks. So the British would, at a certain time, all the British guys would get out of their trenches and run towards the German trenches. You're running through no man's land, which has potholes, dead bodies, rats the size of dogs. Why are rats as big as dogs? They're eating all of the human flesh, and it has so much protein, they just become humongous, by the way. So, the British are going to run through no man's land. As they're running through no man's land, what are the Germans doing? They're shooting them down. From the moment they start the attack, they're just under machine gun fire. They go over to the German trench and they go, shoot, 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 shoot. They shoot into the trench, and guess what they do? They run back to the British side. So the moment they get back to the British side, what are all the Germans doing? Who survived the attack? They're charging. So the British run back, so the Germans now get out of their trench. And as they're running across no man's land, what are the British doing? They're shooting them. The Germans come over and go pew, 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 and then run back to their trench. Who wins? No one. No one. Because if you were a German, you started in your German trench and you ended in your... If you're British, you start in your British trench and you end in your... Ladies and gentlemen, trench warfare causes stalemates and war of attrition. You need to know these two terms when we discuss World War I. Trench warfare is completely an ineffective way to fight a war. However, because the Schifflin plan forced two massive armies to collide, it kind of forced it to happen. Does that make sense? Then everyone was dug in, and now it's going to take 4 years. You need to be able to use the words stalemate and war of attrition to describe World War I. What is a war? Colton, what do you got? A what? The grenade? Grenade's World War II.
Yeah. What's up?
Oh, you're good? Okay, so a war of attrition. Does anyone know what that means when you have a war of attrition? William?
Is it a war based off of materials and like weaponry?
kind of, it's more like survival. You can have a war of attrition. So if you and Kaiser get stranded on an island, okay, you fall off a boat and the two of you are stuck on an island, it's a war of attrition. There's only so many resources on that island, correct? Eventually one of you is going to die because one person ate more food than the other one, and one's going to die. War of attrition means there's no clear winner, you just lasted. Okay? Stalemate means there's no advance, and you need to know these terms, you need to be able to use them efficiently. War of attrition is that it is there's no real clear victory, it's just who can survive. Okay? And we typically use war of attrition with our soldiers' lives. Do you think they were really thriving? Do you think they had anything to really say? When those guys climbed out of that British tent and ran over the German, and your best friend since you were in grade school gets shot in the head by a German pistol, and you get back and you realize your best friend for your whole life is gone, was it worth it? No, you didn't get anything. If you took the hill, you took the mountain, you took the victory of the field, you can at least say, you know, he fought bravely for that. But in a war of attrition, there's nothing to gain. Okay? When we talk about a stalemate, there's no real moving. This whole war, 90% of it, is fought in this little territory. I hate everything about today. Okay? This whole little territory on this map is where everything happened. Okay? The Western Front, which is right here, all of that, that's where the whole war is really being fought because of the failure of the Schifflin Plan. All right. Did you have a question? Someone had a question. What do you got? Yeah, the Russians showed up, but like they showed up with swords to a gunfight, so they mostly just get murdered. The Germans have machine guns, so you need to know new technology. This is a big deal. Colton, I got your back, man. I hope you love this. Love it and live it. Here we go. So new technology. First thing you need to know, we got barbed wire for the first time. We got machine guns. Okay? There's a couple countries that don't have them. Russia's definitely one of them. Russia had 15 of them. The Germans were producing in World War I about 400 a day. World War I. That doesn't even consider the crazy math in World War II. Gas. You need to know mustard gas. Okay? Mustard gas is called mustard gas because it has a yellowy tinge. Now mustard gas is going to be made with like chlorine and like ammonia or something. You can make it at home. I do not suggest it. You can die, and you will die, so don't do it. Anyway, what happens is that you breathe it in, okay? And what it does, it liquefies your lungs. So your lungs literally fall off your esophagus into your chest, and you just bleed to death, like you drown in your own blood. Would we say that's the way we want to go out?
No.
No. Now, if you get it on your flesh, it literally creates like huge pustules very, very quickly that just explode. And if you're exposed to it for like not even a long time, like 5, 10, 15 minutes, all of your skin just starts exploding. That's mustard gas. Now, the great thing about mustard gas is that it's really good at killing people. And it's really quick at killing people too. The bad thing about mustard gas is
Affects both sides.
affects both sides. If the wind changes, guess who's going after? Yeah. So once it's released, it just takes time to spread out, so it's not potent enough to kill. But if you're like, yeah, mustard gas, I don't even know how they open mustard gas. I think it's in a canister and they throw it places. I think that's how they do it. But if the wind changes, it's coming back on your people, for sure. And the problem is that it's such a painful experience because having it on your flesh, your skin literally explodes. That's why it liquefies your lungs because obviously our internal is much softer and more porous than our external skin, and which is why it essentially... Now tanks are there. Tanks are being used. There's only like 150 in World War I. Goodbye. Are we excited we're in war?
Yeah.
Isn't this way more exciting than talking about, well, factory systems? Goodbye.